Welcome to the Black to School podcast. With two or more gathered, anything is possible. I'm one of your hosts, Hughes.
And I'm your other host, Kedar, representing that Norfolk State. This podcast is to highlight successful stories of students that are currently at an HBCU, alumni of an HBCU, or affiliated with an HBCU. So make sure you tune in weekly.
DJ 7 Track.
Hey, welcome to the Black to School podcast, where two or more are gathered. Anything is possible. Representing that Norfolk State, I'm your boy Kedar.
Hey, and I'm your boy, Hughes. Behold. Hey, look, we got a great one for you guys today. Ladies, we have a young, strong Black woman, child prodigy. Look, Clark Atlanta University. Look, we got a great one for you guys today. Hey, Kedar, how's been your week, man?
Man, my week's been great. My week's been great.
What's been going on?
Bro, I'm excited. And I'll let y'all know how it goes next week. But my daughter, my 2-year-old, starts daycare next week.
Oh.
And
okay.
I'm talking about, like, I'm excited because I just need a group of people to just wear her out. I need her to be ready to take naps and go to sleep for the night. I want her to come home like she paid bills, like she had a hard day. Right now, she got too much energy. We just got the house clean. We just got the house clean on Monday, and it's already a wreck.
Look, they call it terrible twos for a reason.
Bro, I'm talking about, and she a young too and smart because she has older siblings.
Right.
And then she a girly girl.
Right.
She got her nails done with my wife.
Oh man.
This past week.
Started something now.
Started something.
Hey, once you started, then you gotta eat. You can't stop it now. Right. I got 2 girls, so I know.
Even today, when I saw her, she said, "I'm cute. I'm cute. Look at my nails, Daddy." What? I feel bad for anybody that tries to date any of my daughters.
Oh man.
They are used to king crab legs and sleeping over beds. You got to go with it. You got to go with it. Look, can't feed my daughters no snow crab.
Oh man.
What's up with you, man?
Hey man, it's actually been a great week, man. Look. So we lost a dog that was dear to our family last week. So, but the week prior, we actually ended up getting another dog. She's actually 4 years old, but it's actually the first time that we've actually had a female dog. So she's been like really attached to me. You know, as soon as I get home, she's doing like tricks and all this, and everybody's like, she don't do that for nobody else. So it's been bittersweet, but it's been really good having her. Her name is Brooklyn, so it's been great having Brooklyn in the house. So
man, that's
man.
I wanted to name my daughter Brooklyn. I'm glad I did.
Man, hey, greatest city, man, greatest city. So look, we got a great one for y'all today.
Yes,
hey, let them know who we got today coming to the.
Man, so let me tell y'all something. Clark Atlanta, stand up. Where all my CAU people at? Stand up. This young lady right now, her current title, she's over at Warner Media. She is the Business Information System Security Officer for the News and Sports. Not only does she do that, she is a visiting lecturer at Clark Atlanta University for the leadership team and the business department, where she helped create the curriculum. I'm telling you, she bad. Not only does she do that, she's working with Angela Rye on her the production side of her podcast. Not to mention, she has her own podcast talking about Urban Girl, Corporate World. Ladies and gentlemen, Clark Atlanta University Panthers, stand up for your own Nicole Dove.
How you doing?
I'm feeling great. How are you?
Doing awesome, and we appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely. Appreciate
Hey.
it. Look, we want to start off every podcast with if you could tell us what do you believe is your greatest accomplishment?
Right.
Ooh, the biggest?
Greatest.
Greatest.
The
It's
Greatest.
great what the
greatest.
Yeah.
greatest to you, whatever
Yeah.
that is.
Hmm. Hmm. Ooh, guess how y'all gonna start?
Off top. Juicy, off top.
It's like, do I go with the stunt answer or like my mama proud answer? Like, it's levels. Um, you know what? Honestly, I'm gonna say if I had to pick the greatest accomplishment, and it's gonna sound cliche, but nothing wrong with the cliche things because they generally are true.
Yeah.
When
Yep.
I look at the amount of sacrifices that my family have has made for me to have the opportunities that I do now, the fact that I've been
Mhm.
able to exploit them and make them proud
Mm.
Right.
and
Yep.
contribute to
Yep.
their lifestyle is definitely the proudest.
Awesome.
Well, that's
It's
dope.
like
Yeah.
ROI for their investment,
That's dope.
That is
So,
true because there's some parents that are not getting that ROI at all.
Man, listen, you know how
I'm
many
talking about
jobs my parents had for me to get through Clark without a gang of loans?
right, right. And you talking
so
about it's some of these parents out here that have paid for private school education, and their kid is not on point.
Listen, I'm talking about private school from elementary.
yeah.
Then, our schools ain't cheap, y'all.
At all,
They
at
ain't
all.
cheap.
That's
So,
true.
yeah. Yeah, man.
That's true. So you talk about your parents' contributions. Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah, so I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, which is about 8 miles east of New York City. So,
I'm from Spring Valley, New York, so not too
okay, so
far.
yeah,
Yeah.
I used to work in Dobbs Ferry a long
Oh,
time
okay.
ago.
Okay.
So my parents are interesting, and I go to them because they were my childhood experience. My mom was a banker, and my father was a creative. He was a musician, so I always had
Wow.
like this really good balance of like creativity and
Yeah.
structure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know that I was thinking about this the other day randomly, so it's interesting you ask, but every man in my family is an entrepreneur of some sort. So
Wow.
I just grew up around like this hustler spirit,
Wow.
right? And I'm not in, I work a 9 to 5,
Right.
but I definitely bring that to every space I'm in. My mom kept me super involved. I was in
Right.
every club, debate
Yep.
club, step team, New Jersey oratory,
Yes.
gymnastics, tap, ballet.
Yeah.
I thought she was just trying to get me to go to sleep when I get home, but she
She was.
really she was, right?
Trying to get you to have no interest.
But I lucked up because doing all those things just introduced me to like so many different people from different backgrounds of life. Changed schools a lot, like depending on where my mama worked was where I went to
Right.
school because who knows where daddy's
Got to
gonna
be
be
close.
hustling, right?
Right.
Gotta be
Right.
close.
Right.
So I've gone to school in the hood, I've gone to school in the suburbs, I've gone to private school, Catholic school. My
Right.
family
Wow.
owned a school at one point. So it was
Wow.
it was a lot of moving and shaking. And I think that's definitely influenced me not being able to sit still.
Right.
But
Hmm.
I had a great childhood. I got skipped from kindergarten to second grade,
Wow.
which was
Let's talk about
Dang.
that.
interesting. Yeah, they
Let's talk about
listen.
that.
They wanted to put me in the third. My mama was like, "Y'all gotta chill."
Yeah, yeah. Slow down.
Yeah,
Slow
that's a
down.
little, kindergarten to third grade. And for me,
Wow.
I was like, you could have saved me a year. But now being older, I get it. So I was
Right.
always the youngest one,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Always like teacher's pet. But I was just a super smart, curious kid who just had a lot of exposure to a lot of things. We grew up in the inner city, but I'm going to the Catholic school in the burbs. So
Right.
always living
Right.
in
Right.
like this dichotomy of experiences. It was definitely a full, interesting childhood.
That's dope.
That's awesome. So you had that balance between academics as well as the arts.
Mm.
Now, is it because you are first generation college or second generation college? Did your parents go to school? Did they go to
So
college?
my dad is going to be so upset that I'm saying this. My dad is like super talented child prodigy musician,
Wow.
and
Mhm.
he's done like so many amazing things. He actually got accepted into Juilliard in New York City and
Wow.
Okay.
declined to go.
Ugh.
He did not want to go. But you got to think about it, right? He's young, fly, flashy. He's doing Broadway. He's doing TV and backup, all this kind of stuff. He's like,
Right.
"Why I go to school? I'm getting money."
Right.
Right.
My mom, she went to junior college and she studied technology. But I think that wasn't her lane. So she ended up getting into banking and it worked out. So they never really had a true blue college experience.
Right.
A
Hmm.
couple of my aunts and uncles did, but this it very much felt like first generation,
Yeah.
university level experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it
So how?
sounds
So
like
how was that? Go ahead, Hughes.
good, good. It sounds like you had a lot of influence from each one of them, from your dad with him being a prodigy, of course, you being skipped up, and then with your mom with the technology. So it seems like they had a lot of influence on you. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I actually went to the same high school my dad did, which
Wow.
was actually our nation's first performing arts high school in Newark, New Jersey. Sarah Vaughn graduated from there, Tisha Campbell. So
Wow.
a lot
Hmm.
of great people went there. So it's interesting that I actually walked like the same halls that my dad did. And some of his classmates were even my professors, some of his teachers, my
Wow.
teachers. So that was interesting. So talent, I definitely grew up in a musical family,
Mm.
so I've taken
Do you play now?
lessons. I can read music now. If you put some sheet music in front of me, I can play, but
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
I'm
What
not,
instrument?
I'm
What instrument?
piano,
Okay.
violin,
Okay.
clarinet, and the drums. And I got a little me, I got a little bit of that too. But that was interesting. So again, like the creativity and structure, my mom, what I love about my mom is, in banking, it's a lot of, people don't trust their money with people unless they feel some connections to them. So
Right.
Right.
while I got the creativity and hustle from my dad, my mom's influences was more of like relationship management. So whenever I got
Mm.
any gifts from anybody, I had to sit down at the table and write a
Right. That
handwritten
thank you
thank you
card.
Wow.
card, right?
So
And I was just like, she is wild. But let me tell you, people don't do that anymore. So when I send
Mm-mm.
people I work with, like they never forget you.
right.
So
True.
yeah, again, the balance of those two, they're completely opposite, but definitely had a profound impact in shaping, how I operate today.
That's dope.
Gotcha. So walk us through. Now it's time to possibly go to college. Did your parents have an influence in that? Were there any teachers? I know you bounced around schools, but were there any counselors? What was that process of trying to decide college?
So the thing was, I finally got, when I got to fifth grade, the bouncing around kind of stopped. So
Oh,
fifth
so
to
you
eighth
settled down.
grade,
All right.
yeah, it was like one
Mama had a steady
school.
job.
Yeah.
Wachovia was getting paid. All right.
She was actually at Wachovia.
I know.
Oh
Oh my goodness. Y'all are good, man.
man.
So yeah, I get to high school. And mind you, I go to a performing arts high school, right? And my mom, seeing the life my dad has gotten to create and all the opportunities and talent we have, my mom wanted me to go to school for music. And I
Right.
was just like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to school for music. I'm not trying to be a starving artist. I don't know why I thought all artists were
Right.
starving.
They do.
Uh, right. But then I was just like, I was really good at math, which was probably an influence from music, banking again, right?
Right.
And I just wanted to put on a suit and tell people what to do.
Mm.
That's
Okay.
literally how I figured out I want to go to school for business. I had no clue about what college I wanted to go to. I just knew it was a black college. No
Mm.
influence from guidance counselors,
Wow.
no influence from teachers. I had a few cousins in college, but they all went to, Michigan.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, they did
So
a
so so why'd you off top say you knew you wanted to go to a black college?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. I listen. I got skipped, right? So I'm 16 years old making these life decisions.
Wow.
So
Oh man, I
Wow.
didn't even think about that.
right? What
Yeah.
do I know?
Yeah.
I want to be around some black people and I want to wear a suit and tell people what to do. That was
What
literally
to
my
do?
plan for college and career. And that was it. I only applied to 2 colleges.
Okay.
Now, my father was like, hey, you're too young to be going out of state. You need to do a year here and then you can
Right,
transfer. But I was like, well, dad, because dad about that bag. I'm like,
right.
you may pay for these classes here that may not transfer. So you might as well just let me
Just
go.
let me go.
Just let me go. Give us free. And so it worked out. And then I just knew I liked Atlanta. I liked Georgia because which is where I live now. I had family here, my mom's side of the family. And Atlanta was becoming a movement, right? We're talking about
Yes.
early
Mhm.
2000s, late
Yeah.
90s.
Right,
And
right.
Howard was dope and DC. So I applied to those two. Got in both, visited both campuses. Literally, Atlanta just had the vibes. And I was like, yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's it.
Geez,
That's dope.
16 pack the bags,
16.
and now you in the A
I
and
can't believe
16.
I wouldn't be able to
I
do. Listen,
thought I
I
was
have a
your
niece.
daddy. I wouldn't have let you go either.
I have a niece that's 9, and I'm just like, there's absolutely no way I would let her move out in 7 years and do any of this. So,
Wow.
yeah.
But let
Wow.
but you finally get here. So get to Clark. What was your experience there?
Man, Clark,
Like, what was week
Atlanta.
one like? Like, what was week one like? Like,
So,
you
week
roll up at the
one,
AUC,
yes.
week one.
Yeah. Week one at the AUC. So my mom and my aunt drove me down to Atlanta from
Mm,
Jersey. We loaded up, we rented something, a truck, something, loaded up, moved down. Uh Week one at Clark Atlanta was just lit because they had the freshmen move in before everyone else.
Right.
And then we
okay.
had a week of orientation that was led by what we called the OGs, which was our orientation guides.
Okay.
So I get to my room
I
and end
love
up
it.
meeting my roommate. And she and I have so much in common. We're born on the same day. We got the same middle name, same shoe
Wow.
size. I'm like, oh, y'all really matched this thing up.
Oh, wow.
And literally, it wasn't any tears. I was just like, y'all good? I
You was
got my
ready.
stuff. I'll see y'all
You
later.
was ready.
I was like, later. Man, I had a blast. They did a really good job of like curating the experiences for us, having
Yeah.
activities. Of course, we had our convocation. We had to all dress in white and
Right.
like
Right,
go
right.
through our process. It was really beautiful. And even being from the inner city, like when you get to an HBCU, especially Clark, for the first week, it's just like you're introduced to so many different levels and layers of black people.
It's true.
It was
Mm,
like I met a black girl from Alaska who lived down the hall. And then you have like the international black cohort of people. And it's just
mm-hmm.
and then you meet country black folk, valley girl black folk,
Wow.
hood black folk, bougie black folk. It was just like so many different layers and pockets that it was so exciting and so
Right.
eye-opening.
And then it's in those moments you realize, like, one, dang, we everywhere for real, for real.
Yes. Yes.
And two, we come in many different
Yes.
flavors,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for
and you get
sure.
exposed to it all versus,
Mhm.
sometimes you go to the PWI and you kind of see the same private school person or the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
Exactly.
or the athlete, and that's
Yeah.
all you see.
That's it. And think about it. Like at a PWI, you got what max on a good day, 10 to 12%
Yeah.
of your student population being people of color. Where else are
Right.
you gonna go? I can't say I've been anywhere in the world except for when I went to Africa that I saw
Hmm.
us as the majority. And it wasn't
Hmm.
just about the students, it was the administration, it was the faculty and the
Mm,
staff. It was just
yes.
so much black excellence everywhere.
Right.
And it was unlike anything I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you talk about and actually in one of your episodes in your podcast, you talked about the experience of homecoming. And not to jump to the homecoming
Man.
part yet, but just about the experience of how the people that were there got to see you pretty much as a child and then grow into an adult.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of your experience as far as like the people that were more influential to you, like a professor or someone while you were at Clark?
Yeah, there were a bunch of them. So I remember I one of the classes I took my was it my freshman year? Political science, right? Fairly young teacher, young black man, right? So we get to class on the first day, and the first thing he says as he opens up the lesson is, by the end of this semester, I will prove to you that the United States of America is a hostile environment for the black man. And I was like, that's what we doing? But I love it because the entire course was essentially him presenting us as students with a case study
Mhm.
as to why he felt that way. So we're digging through the Constitution, digging through
Mm.
history, right? Which was something that, you do at the surface level in high school, but you don't really
Yeah.
get that deep.
Right.
Then I also had another professor, Professor Rodney, who actually passed away, um, African history. So I had a teacher in high school. She was amazing. She created her own curriculum. Was like, this is what we're gonna learn. But since
Right.
he was the first person that really broke down like Mansa Musa, the rule of, how the Moors ruled for 700 years in Europe, and
Yep.
Mali, Ghana, Songhai, the Gold
Mm.
Coast, like all the stuff, right?
Wow.
And I'm not sure, even if I had taken that class at a PWI, that I would have had that experience.
Right.
Another one is Professor Raphael Boyd, who was my business law professor. One of the assignments that he gave us was he broke the class up into teams,
Hmm.
and each of us had to write a handbook or a report on different things. So there was how to get an LLC, get an EIN number,
Oh wow.
whether
Dope.
to rent or buy office space, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Chapter 11
Wow.
bankruptcy, trademarks, copyrights. And each team
Wow.
had to do one of those and bring enough copies for the rest of the class. And we ended up walking out this class with a binder on everything you pretty much need for business that we
For
thought was
business.
crazy back in the day. But
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's
So
dope.
yeah, professors like that. And one last one that I have to mention, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, who is just like Master Napoleon Hill trainer.
Yep.
The name itself says it, right? But thinking
Right.
about what I learned from him, and he writes a lot of books, and like I buy his books, we talk about his books. He was on the podcast. I gift his books to people.
Right.
He has, my favorite is called The Wealth Choice Success Secrets of Black Millionaires, where he's breaking down how first generation self-made black millionaires, no athletes, no entertainers, no heirs, have built up their fortune. And it's
Mhm.
just like, I mean, that's powerful stuff. That's
It
that's
is.
Yeah.
HBCU influence, right?
It is.
Yeah. And you can't get what's crazy. So Hughes and I, we were in a class together,
Yep.
and at Norfolk State, you have to take an African American
American
studies
history.
class. It could be
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And we took literature, was it?
Yeah.
African
Yeah.
American lit.
African American lit.
And and our professor, little light skinned lady,
Yeah.
last
Mm-hmm.
name Dandridge.
Yeah.
And I was like, this Dorothy
Mm-hmm.
cousin?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they're,
Right?
they're part of the Dandridge family.
Mm-hmm.
And I never asked her, but just the richness that she came with, the
Mm-hmm.
the expectations of
Mm-hmm.
excellence that she
Mm-hmm.
came with,
We had to do a speech
let
every week.
every week.
Wow.
And it just kind of, and I never asked her, but it just made me feel that she was part of the royalty and
Mm-hmm.
experiences that she gathered from
Yes.
herself and not just a book.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So when you speak of those professors, it makes me think of some influential professors that I had because they come from
Yeah.
that experience.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of HBCUs, right? Like people are like, oh, why an HBCU? And it's just like when you really begin to dig into the experience of, and these are our formational years, right?
Yeah.
These are the people who are
Absolutely.
molding us into adults.
Yes.
That's the experience that you want. You cannot tell me you're going to find that anywhere else.
Right. You're
You
right.
can't. Not anywhere. You will not find it anywhere else. And
Mm-mm.
we hear a lot about, and I'll let you get to the homecoming part of this, because we hear a lot about, when you ask people that have graduated or have gone to an HBCU, they talk about the word experience, but people confuse experience with fun, even though we had a
Mm.
lot of it, like a
Mhm.
lot of it, and it is part of the experience. But you're right, that professor and those faculty and staff experiences
Mhm.
also is a major part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm even
Now,
in
he was
touch with some
asking
of
about
my
homecoming. I'm trying to hear about this.
well, well, you did mention in one of your podcasts as far as like the historic meaning to you as
Mhm.
far as homecoming, and it just brings you back to how, like I said earlier, as far as um, the transition from childhood to adulthood, which for you was really young.
Mhm.
Um, so can you talk about, because on your show you talked eloquently about how the experience of homecoming. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So I see homecoming from two different layers. One as a student and then one as an alum, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So as the student, my first homecoming, each of the freshman dorms, obviously there's history with the dorms and who they name them after, things of
Yeah.
that nature.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like your first clique. That's like your first gang,
Mhm.
True.
Mhm.
Well, it was almost along, we used to have step teams for every single dorm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the first homecoming event was the dorm step
Yes.
show. Listen, I had no idea it was going to be as lit and crazy as it was. We had strolls and everything. It was, I think, low key, it was kind of like a pipeline in the Greek life.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? But it was fascinating. My freshman year, our homecoming was so dope. I actually went to Tuskegee to go to their homecoming. Like I got
Right.
to get a two
Mhm.
for one. But
Right.
then
Right.
coming back as a I went a couple times, maybe once, and then didn't go for a long time. I had moved to New York and then moved overseas for a little bit. But when I came back from living overseas, I went to homecoming that year.
Hmm.
And I got there a little early, so I just kind of walked around campus
Yeah.
and I got really emotional, like just going to my dorm and seeing my dorm and seeing where I went to class because I really began to reflect on to the theme we keep talking about, how I really grew up at this
Mhm.
place. Like you pass
Mm.
by so many different things, so many different memories. Like, oh, that's the first place I may have done some of those things, right? Or I remember we used to sneak in there, or we called our library, which was the Woodruff Library, we called it Club Woody. Seeing all of that. I know all the people from CAU talk about Steagles, man. It's just like, but when I got to the yard, I don't know about y'all, but for homecoming, I never know who wins the game because I'm
Yeah.
Yeah.
tailgating and
That's
we
everywhere.
Yeah.
lit. We got a
Yeah.
DJ, it's tents,
Oh
it's
yeah.
drinks, it's food. I mean, it's just a big party. And it's not even about like your people or your set. You don't even have to remember somebody's name. Y'all recognize each other's face. It's family. It's
What?
love. Exactly. Hey girl, what's up? Hey boo.
I see you still looking good. I see you still looking good.
Exactly. I be seeing you on the gram, sis. It's so much love,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Man.
It will fill your cup.
Yeah. Yeah. So you graduated Clark. What was your degree in? Business?
Finance and accounting.
Finance and accounting. So you graduate Clark, and then what was your next step after Clark?
2 weeks after graduation, I moved to New York to work on Wall Street. 2 weeks. I
Dang.
didn't I didn't breathe. I didn't pass go. I didn't collect $200. I was like, I need money.
Yeah,
I need
you do.
money.
Hustle.
This $20 is a lot in college. I need
Man,
more than
listen.
this.
I lived a whole semester. My whole semester I lived off of $1,000. I don't know how
Oh,
I did that. A whole semester. I could spend a rack in a day. I could spend a
that
rack in
day
an hour.
at lunch. What you
Man,
talking about?
literally, literally. So yeah, here I come. This girl from inner city, Newark, New Jersey,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
I've been around these black folks all 4 years. Our motto is find a way to make one. We the first black, university. Frederick Douglass taught here, and black
Right.
this and black that, and
Right.
woo
Right.
woo. And y'all done sent me up to Lily White Wall Street, man.
All white.
All white everything. And it was like that was a crazy transition,
Wow.
right? Because at first I was just trying to just be like, I don't know what's going on, let me just kind of blend in and see what's happening.
Right.
But you 4 years of them juicing you up, it's in you,
Yeah.
it ain't
Hmm.
on you, it's in you.
Yeah.
And they felt that I had a my first boss told me, don't act like you know everything.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm.
sis,
What?
I don't know now. I just got here. I don't know nothing. But what that spoke to me was about the culture of that place, right?
Right.
Right.
And the type of people that would do well there. And it also began to show me, whether I knew it or not, and I probably didn't, what type of environment I needed to be in.
Right.
So I actually, again, big and bold, I was like, lady, whatever. I ended up moving to another team, and I emailed the CEO one day, the CEO of the biggest bank on Wall Street. I was like, "Hey
Wow.
Hank,
Wow.
Right.
I'm Nicole.
Right. I'm new,
I'm
straight from the
new
A.
from the A, Proud Panther." And he didn't email me back, but his assistant did. And she was just like, "I'm glad to hear you're here. Glad you're enjoying it." I was like, "Okay, girl." So now I go to the next highest person, which was this lady, Chief Accounting Officer Sarah Smith. That lady actually emailed me back, and we went, had coffee, and chit chatted, and
Wow.
we talked very candidly. British woman, and she actually helped me, pointed me in the direction to my next role. So
Ooh,
that was
wow.
yeah,
Wow.
that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, Wall Street
So
was
how do you think
interesting.
so how do you think your experience at Clark
Yeah.
helped you helped you one at Wall Street, but even take you from Wall Street to whatever your next move was?
Right.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing a lot of students face when they graduate college and place in their first roles is they have no frame of reference,
Mm.
right? I had an internship every single summer. And
Ooh.
Hmm.
still, when I graduated and started my new job, it was imposter syndrome. I felt lost. I just felt like I didn't know what was happening. I realized, though, at Clark, y'all know we drill our mottos into our students, right? Our motto is I'll find a way or I will make
Or
one,
make
Yeah.
one.
right?
Yeah.
So it was like for everything that I didn't know, I recognized that and I went to go figure it out. You
Yeah.
Yep.
know, a lot of people are just okay with not knowing, oh,
Right.
I'm new, or they'll go ask somebody. But
Mm.
me, before I come ask you, I'm going to try to figure this out. And
Yeah.
if I can't figure it out, by the time I come to you, I'm going to be like, hey, here's what I did. Here's what
Mm.
I found. If I didn't
Mm,
find anything, here's what I think.
Yeah.
Right.
mm.
And
You
I
doing
think
your
I
homework.
think when you show up like that, people probably aren't used to it. It may be intimidating to some, but I think a good leader will appreciate that. Now,
Yeah.
granted, I probably was very unrefined. I probably was, I probably, I probably was heavy,
Little
a
brash. Little brash.
little brash, a little in your face. But I will tell you that I will find a way or make one literally throughout my entire career has been one of the key things that separates me. So which helped me in my new job, which I actually found through a fellow CAU alum, uh
Okay.
Ken.
Respect.
Yeah. So I had met Ken at a career fair at the school, and he was working for a big four accounting firm. I gave him my resume, and he looked at it. He was like, "Yeah, that's not gonna work. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go remix that." And I was like, "You know what? Okay, I'm gonna remix it." Ended up meeting the Wall Street folks at the same place, so got a job. But when I was looking for something new, I was like, you know what? Let me brush up this dusty resume
Hmm.
and holla at old boy. I still had his card. And he actually facilitated getting me into this huge firm, which was the same one the lady from Wall Street pointed me to.
Right.
And we worked as consultants. And when you're a consultant, you finding a way or you making one.
Right.
Hmm.
So
Wait, so Ken was at the career fair representing PwC?
Yes, he was at the table. Yeah, making
Wow.
it
Okay,
happen.
diversity. Okay,
Hmm.
diversity.
Go on, put your token out there.
look out, look out.
Man. Yeah, man. And it was interesting. And like to what we were talking about homecoming, you don't know people that's like, oh, hey, whatever. Ken's a few years ahead of me.
Right.
Um, we probably never spoke much during school because he was an accounting
Right,
major
right,
too, but
right.
he was more senior. But he
Right.
was SGA president, so I was familiar with him, right?
Ah,
But we didn't have a long-standing relationship, so for him to put himself and his reputation on the line,
Yeah.
right, I
hmm,
had a responsibility to make sure I showed up.
Oh, that's
So
yeah,
dope.
for
yeah, I
sure,
appreciate
That's
him
dope.
for
for
that.
sure.
That's
So
really
what are you
dope.
doing now?
So now I don't do anything with finance or accounting
What?
at all. Yeah, at all. I am a business information security officer at Warner Media. So I help executives manage the cybersecurity portfolios for CNN Digital and Turner Sports. So I get to work
Mm.
cool stuff like the election, March Madness.
Wow.
We're launching apps. Like it's a lot of fun work.
That's dope.
Yeah. And then I'm
Wow.
also, get this, a visiting lecturer at Clark Atlanta University this semester, right?
Hey, this that high five. This that high
Yeah.
five.
All on some find a way or make one. So
Find a way to
I'm
make
really
one.
excited about that. And then y'all know I host a podcast, Urban Girl
Yeah.
Corporate World. We celebrate the triumphs and challenges of urban professionals navigating entrepreneurship, corporate professional spaces, athletes, politicians
Yeah.
across the board.
You even
Wow.
had your grandfather, who's a significant person in history, Mr. AJ Rivers.
Yeah, man, listen. I knew I always wanted to do something with my grandfather just to
Mm,
you got to try to capture some of that while they're here.
Right.
He's
Right.
man.
94, 95 years
Yeah.
old.
Oh,
And he in 1972 he became the first black city commissioner
Mm.
elected to office in the town where he currently lives. And his campaign manager was a Klansman. And I was like, oh, we gotta talk about
oh, we
that
gotta talk about
story,
this one.
right? I was like, we gotta touch on that, right? And it was amazing to me because I learned so much from having
Right.
that conversation with him. We talk a lot, but I got to see another level and another layer and another side just of persistence,
Right.
Right,
and trailblazing,
Right.
right,
the hoops he had to jump through to have the first black chief of police, the first black fire chief,
Mm.
right.
right? Just the things he had to go through. And it put so much into perspective about, why people in our generation, why we have to show up and why we have to be excellent, because
Right.
it's bred in us. It's where we come from. You
Right.
can't
Hmm.
hide
In our
that. You
DNA.
can't hide that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So look, this podcast, Black to School podcast, Hughes actually brought it to me, so and wanted to highlight people from our university, Norfolk State, and I was like, bruh, we need to open it up to all
Yeah.
HBCUs because bro, we got
This
so
is
many
lit.
richness and stories out
Hmm.
there.
For
So
real.
we created this podcast so we can, one, bring awareness of HBCUs to everyone, to the masses.
Mhm. Mhm.
Two, there may be some scholars that are on the fence, like I don't know where to go, PWI, HBCU, which HBCU, and then personally, from for me, there are some parents out there
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
that have extreme influence over where
The
their
children.
kid goes to
Oh yeah.
college.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some parents out there that be like, nah, my kid ain't ever
Mhm.
going to a HBCU.
True.
Mhm.
This podcast is for them to let them know, yo, we hold high positions
Right.
in
Mhm.
these same companies, management position, executive level positions in these same companies, this entrepreneur spirit.
That's right.
This is the opportunity for them to learn as well and to be softened on the idea of PWI over HBCU.
Right.
Mhm.
Could you give anybody that's listening that is either on the fence or they may be thinking about an HBCU, could you give them why you believe an HBCU is an optimal choice?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we just snatched the whole United States. Okay. We just snatched.
Wow, that's
See,
big.
let me tell you.
That's
See,
a big statement.
this is what happens when you try to steal the government's office.
Right.
See? You just had to have it.
You just
You just
had to
had
have
to
it.
have it, right? And you thought we were just going to be meek little African Americans. Well, okay. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Spellman stepped up and was like, "You know what? Like imagine the fortitude and the mindset and just the perseverance to be like, you know what? Okay, maybe you cheated,
Hmm.
but numbers don't lie,
Right.
right? So
Right.
let me just go ahead and register about, a whole another million folks to vote.
Right.
Let me just do that.
One time. One
One
time.
time for the one time. And the government election may be over, but the presidential election is coming,
Right.
right?
Right.
Mhm.
So now what what a gateway of let's say her name Stacey Abrams
PC
Yes,
Abrams.
he was.
to create a channel
Right.
that essentially allowed Howard University present our first
Mm.
black person
Mm.
to sit in the seat of vice president and a woman. It's like historic on
Hmm.
so many levels.
Yeah.
Then you
Hmm.
turn back around to the Senate election, and now we have history made in
Mm.
Georgia with the first
Mm.
black governor
Mm.
from Morehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I
Let me
would
tell
like
it.
to say that Clark Atlanta, without CAU, there is no AUC. Just want to put that out
This
there.
is true.
So,
This is true.
just saying we
Facts.
laid the
All
framework
facts.
for Morehouse and Spelman. Just want to let that be known. Y'all know how we do. It's all love.
Right, right.
But on another note, I won't say serious because that is serious. I think the thing you have to think about when you consider any institution,
Hmm.
academics first, right? Because that's why we're going to school. And when you look at the rigor and the requirements of professors and the programs, right? At the different HBCs that you look at, you should hold them accountable. Clark
Right.
Atlanta has one of the best business schools. They have one of the best mass comm programs, in the nation,
True.
arguably in the world,
True.
right? So the
Hmm.
academics have to be there, and we don't need you to hold us in a special light because we hold our own. The
Hmm.
second thing is experience. Again, you are sending your child out in the world to become shaped as an adult,
Mm.
right? Who do you trust to look after your children but your own community?
Wow.
Right?
Hello.
You
That's
understand what I'm
big.
saying?
Hello.
I went to volunteer. I do a lot of mock interviews with the students in the B school and just running into some of the staff that are there and talking about the different students that they helped and nurtured and fed and
Right.
people done cried on their shoulders. I mean,
Right.
that's
Hmm.
community, right?
Wow.
That is
Um,
community.
and then I think the last piece, outside of the academics and the experience, when you talk to a lot of students who go to different schools like Wharton or, Columbia or Harvard,
Mm-hmm.
especially for graduate level studies, they'll tell you one of the biggest benefits is the network, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
you
Hmm.
want to be able to think about for the schools that you're looking at or considering for your students, who will they have access to?
Right.
right? Like I mentioned Ken Wilson earlier. I don't know what my path would have looked like
Mm.
Right.
had I not been
Right.
able to call on somebody, and not just somebody,
Hmm.
but somebody who
Yeah.
told me the time is not right. When you're
Right.
ready, when you get it together, then
Right.
you'll show yourself worthy. And he made true on that. You
Wow.
understand what
Right.
I'm saying? And the
Right.
fact
So,
that I can walk around with a resume that says Goldman Sachs and PwC, it opens so many doors. So I
Yeah.
think though experience, for sure, academics and network. And I think you
Yeah.
will definitely see when it comes to, considering where you want your children to go to school. And one thing to add to experience, think about why these universities were started.
right.
We didn't have access to
But
these spaces,
yeah,
right? So
touch on
we
that.
created our own that
Hmm.
compete on the same level. I mean, I will tell
Right.
you, I have worked with some people who come from some really impressive schools,
Right.
and I'm not blowing myself up, but
Right.
I run circles around these people.
Yep.
You
Yep.
understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Straight
I
up.
think it's collectively all of that, and I think young students of color and parents considering, where to place or where to influence your children to consider, we win hands down every time.
Yeah,
That's
that's
dope.
awesome, man. I'm glad you said that. I'll share a quick story. One of my professors, Dr. Richards,
Hmm.
she
We
don't
so
say
fancy.
Richards,
We so fancy.
Richards. She pledged AKA at Southern University in 1952. So she
Wow.
old school,
Wow.
old
Hmm.
school. I was taking classes. I was a bio pre-med major. I was taking classes at neighboring Old Dominion University
Hmm.
because it just aligned with my timing and schedule. I go into the organic chemistry lab. At the time, we're making microscopic slides.
Mm.
And at ODU, they got a machine. You cut it, put it in the machine, boom, come out, you got your slides. At
Hmm.
Norfolk State, Dr. Richards had this old black manual machine where we had to put paraffin wax and slice it
Wow.
very thin, put it on the slide, and 2 days later you had what you.
I can't.
And so I went back over there. I said, this is the problem with HBCUs. At ODU, they just put this in a machine and they got the slide and boom. We over here got this old machine and duh. She said, young man,
Hmm.
when you're in the lab, when you're at the hospital
Hmm.
and that machine don't work,
What you gonna
Mm.
do?
who still can make the slides?
Wow.
Period.
I said,
Wow.
I'm so sorry. I did not make it.
I know that's right. You're not gonna
but
get
but
that
it
at a
you're
PWI.
not
It
gonna
ain't
get it.
gonna
You gonna
You
slide
got to
that thing in the
problem solve.
machine. You got a
You got to
problem
problem
solve.
solve.
That's right.
It
Hmm.
makes
Uh,
us think.
has there been any challenges that you've taken from your experience at a HBCU that's helped you after graduating?
Challenges.
And how did you overcome them?
So I will say, going to an HBCU, uh, again, that find a way awake, make one, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It rolls with you. I remember I had a class. It was a really hard class. I can't remember what class it was. And, it was coming around to the end of the semester, and I was looking at the syllabus. Now, I learned early on the syllabus was very important. Okay. It was very,
So
very
it's your
important.
roadmap.
That's your roadmap. So here I am, super smart kid, right? Too smart for my own good. So what I would do is look at the grading, the weighting of your assignments for grading. So what percentage was your homework worth? What percentage was the midterm, the final, the test, exams, all that.
Yeah.
And what I would do was I would keep a notebook. These kids probably have Mac
Right.
all this, that,
Right.
tablets and stuff. But no, I had the notebook with the folder pockets in
Yeah.
each
Mm-hmm.
chapter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
I would put the syllabus in the folder pocket, and throughout the semester, every grade I had, I would write it next to the weighted percentage.
Mm.
And then what I would do at the end of every semester is figure out what was the lowest score I can get on the final exam and still get at least a B, at least a B. And then that would dictate how much I did or more likely didn't
Right.
have to study. That's actually carried out into how I work, how I show up at work. Like with a lot of the work that I do now, I'm essentially sitting between our cybersecurity organization and our business.
Mm.
The
Mhm.
business, they want to put the shows on, they want to produce the podcast, do the live events, they want to
Yeah.
keep innovating. Now we've got HBO Max, we're getting direct to consumer. We're trying to get stuff done.
Right.
Right.
But the security compliance folks are like, well, we have to check all these
Right.
boxes.
Right.
And we get a bad rap for that. But
Right.
now what I really do is figure out, tell my business, like, listen, let me know what y'all trying to do when y'all are trying to do it. I'm gonna worry about the security people. And
Right.
you know what I do? Figure out what's the critical path. What are the things that
Mm,
we have to do? There are things that we
nice.
should do. There are
Right.
things that are nice to have. But what
Right.
is the critical thing that we have to do to get this app live, to put this show on the road, to make sure we don't jack up the numbers on the
Right.
presidential election?
Mm,
And that has helped bridge the gap so much that now my business partners aren't hiding what they're doing from me.
Right.
They're like, yeah, let me tell you what we have going on so you can go get them people up
right.
there like you did
Wow.
last time. Yeah. So all it's I was definitely being lazy in school,
Right. Right.
but
But
now
now, yeah.
now we keeping the lights on. We keeping the lights
Right. Right.
on.
Man, this has been awesome. I
Yeah, it
love it.
has,
This has been
I've
man.
had
awesome.
so much fun with
This is
y'all.
fun. Oh, also, I want to say that we've had plenty of distinctive guests, but to have the first female, it's like things
Oh
don't get
yeah, this is our
started until we
first
have
female.
things don't get started until you get a
Yeah.
female
You got a woman.
and a
A
strong woman at
woman.
that.
A
A
woman.
strong
A
woman at
woman.
that.
Yes. I
So,
appreciate
you
that.
know,
I'm happy to be here.
I feel like this is official now.
Man, like a ref
Right.
with a whistle, man. You know it. You know it.
So tell everybody, how can they get in touch with you? How can we watch what you're doing?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. The podcast is called Urban Girl Corporate World, and that's the handle, Urban Girl Corporate
Mm.
World. I am wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, Breaker, all in between. Or you can go to my website, www.letsworkletswin.com, where you can
Oh, nice.
send me an email, listen to the podcast. You can register for upcoming speaking engagements and things I have. It's all there.
Thank
And if you are a student at Clark, take her class.
You need to. Yes, you do.
you.
You
Yeah.
need to. We're going to go through the spring semester and we're essentially bridging the gap. Like everything you need to know to start your career that you're not going to learn in school. That's what we're going to
Mm,
go. That's what we're going to get into. So I'm
Ooh,
love
excited.
it.
I wish I had.
Love it.
Mhm.
Right. This is awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
We
me.
greatly appreciate you.
Thank
We'll definitely let you know when this is airing,
you. Yes.
so you can
Perfect.
send it out to your network as well.
Y'all are
All
awesome.
right.
I love this. I can't wait to tune in and listen to all of them. And I'm
Yeah.
so
Oh,
happy
that's dope.
I'm the first lady
The first
of the
lady.
The
Black to
first
The first
School
lady.
lady.
podcast. Yeah, this is dope.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
right, y'all.
All
Well,
right.
have a
Well,
fantastic
oh look,
evening.
I'm in Atlanta.
What?
Yeah.
My office is in Old Fourth Ward.
Oh, we gotta link up. I put on a mask.
For sure, come
I
through.
bring my results.
Nah, come through. I have my office manager send you my calendar link, and anytime you want to
Perfect.
pop up, just jump on the calendar link, come
Yeah.
through.
Listen, well, let's actually do something around the time y'all launch. It can be a celebration. Maybe I can drag
Oh, there
Ken
we
over
go.
there too.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect,
Okay.
perfect,
Perfect.
perfect.
All right,
Okay.
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a
Have a great
great
one.
evening.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Yo, that was a great show. Great
Yeah.
show. Nicole Dove is awesome. She's amazing.
She's sharp.
Sharp.
Child prodigy.
Wow.
And,
Amazing.
and that love for the HBCUs is real.
It's real.
Hey, look, this brings us to a great segment right now. This is our last segment that we call Lesson of the Day. We gotta get some Lesson of the Day music.
Right.
Hey,
Right.
when we get big time, I'm gonna start pressing buttons, and it's gonna be like, I don't know if that's gonna be the tune, but it's called Lesson of the Day, where Hughes and I discuss some key takeaways, some key points, lesson of the day that we received from the interview. Now, if you have some lessons of the days that you want to share with us, please email us black to school podcast at gmail. Hit us up on IG, Facebook, black, the number 2 school podcast,
Right.
all one word, and we'll make sure we'll get back at you.
That's right. That's right. So this young lady is dynamic. For me, my lesson of the day was the fact that she was able to persevere, but also everywhere that she went, she was able to network. So
Mm.
that word is very, very important. She got to Wall Street within 2 weeks of graduating from Clark Atlanta University. Young lady in New York City. She did not hesitate to email the CEO of that department that she was working in. Now he didn't respond to her. It was the secretary, but in the same time, she is working as an urban girl in the corporate world, basically like her podcast says, and she is just living in what they always say as far as us as that graduate from HBCUs that we can't succeed in the corporate world. She's a living example of that fact. And with her saying that line in the beginning of the in the episode, saying that we have literally as a HBCU culture have literally taken the nation by control. So great interview, sharp young lady as well.
For
So
real, for
for
me,
Kedar.
the lesson of the day is identity.
Mm,
She was able to learn more about herself. She was able to realize that although the excitement of being around Black and brown people,
mm,
she quickly realized Black folks come in all shapes, sizes, different colors, flavors. And she was able to secure who she is
mm.
in her own identity,
Right, right,
but still had that connection with everybody.
right, right.
And at HBCUs, you take a little
Right.
bit from everybody
That's right.
and put it in your little tool bag of life,
That's right.
and you pull out different things at different times. And for her to be secure in who she is,
Mm,
and to just know what she wanted out of life or wants out of life, I like it was something about how she identified with
mm.
herself.
That's right. She knows who she is.
She knows who she is.
That's right.
Met a bunch of different folks from around the country and realized, oh, I'm not that. I'm like that. I'm not this.
Yeah.
So that's good, man. That's my lesson of the day. So please email us what your key takeaway, what your lesson of the
Right.
day is. And we just appreciate you, whether this is your first time listening or you've been here a couple of times. We just
Right.
want to keep saying thank you for coming
Thank
back,
you.
coming
Appreciate
on
y'all.
this journey with us. Hughes and I mission is to increase engagement, enrollment, and endowments for all HBCUs.
Make sure that y'all subscribe, like, and share this podcast. It's again Black, the number 2 school podcast. Follow us on our IG, follow us on Facebook. Make sure that y'all are listening to us on anywhere that you guys listen to your podcast platform. And make sure you guys come back next week. Uh, take a look into next week's episode.
And that's the beautiful thing about HBCU. Like, everybody is accepted, and everybody is, I say, celebrated for their differences. Although we all look alike, like it's good.
Right.
It's good. It's a, I don't know. It's a pride thing. Like, we love each other, love our differences, and we celebrate each other. I love it.